Good morning, it's Devorah. It's InStory Live, Friday morning. Happy weekend, Shabbat Shalom. And what are you experiencing in the moment? Like pause, notice, and shift. It's one of my foundational teachings is how do you actually become able to choose a new way of feeling or being? Can you pause in the moment? Then notice what you're experiencing and then shift to something new or choose something new or be happy with where you're at. Hi, Kay. Hi, Eileen. This is really something that I bump into all the time myself, and I'm always reminding all of us so that if you're growing yourself into something bigger and more visionary, since it's going to stretch you, you're going to bump into resistance. So I had an interesting experience yesterday where I was working with my coach, Barbara, who's wonderful. Hi, Cindy. And she was talking to me about kind of that deep dive into who do you work with and what's their problem, what's their issue, what's going on with them. And I kind of start to get all like, I don't know, it's kind of a trigger for me. And I went through that exact process. I said, okay, wait a minute, let me pause. Why is this making me feel upset? Like, why is that hard for me? And so after I paused, I was able to notice, oh, this isn't about just what's going on the outside. So can I look deeper? And so then that allowed me to look deeper, go, oh, maybe it's connected to this or this other thing. And then I was able to shift into what I see people walking by. We have a really cool path next to our house. It allowed me to shift into what Barbara likes to call curiosity. And I really love that. She said, and this is like another take on how do you shift. So if you're in a trigger, something has just got you upset or scared or mad or sad or whatever. And you know it's a trigger, which is different than when something really terrible has happened and you're happening an incident in the moment. But often we're working towards something and it's triggering us, even though the thing that's happening isn't actually bad. Like I was feeling upset, but nothing bad was happening to me. It was triggering something old. And so one of the things that goes with pause, notice, and then how you shift means you have to pick some kind of a tool. So I want to add from Barbara Ames, my wonderful coach, curiosity, meaning, and that's part of what noticing is, like, And so, but adding that word curiosity, be curious. What is it? What's bothering me? And it's not that I didn't already do that. It's more that she gave it a different word that expanded sort of the focus of it. And then it allowed me to think about, she said, try being curious in other areas of your life. Be curious in your conversations and your relationships by asking more questions, listening more. And I thought, oh, kind of busted, right? Because I'm a storyteller. I want to just tell you all things. And in fact, Kay and I were talking about that, how Kay, you're so wonderful at asking questions. But some of us, like Elaine, you are also like a beautiful, actress, singer, writer, storyteller. We want to speak, tell our amazing, wonderful, creative selves out in the world, which is great. And at the same time, both sides, like sometimes the one who asks questions, you have to be able to teach, and I have to sometimes stop and ask more questions. So what that led to was that today Barbara's teaching a course on how to create a course. And part of the beginning is, well, how do you take something very specific? And after my session with her, I sat and listened to a meditation and just rested for a little while, kind of integrated. And as soon as I got up from that, I went, oh, I've already created a whole bunch of little mini courses, and my clients have heard some of them. I have a whole one called The 7 Steps to Developing Trust, or how do you tap into joy, and how do you manifest money? How do you work on your attention? And I went, oh, I already have some specific things. I just haven't taken them the next step. So my question is so some of you are already working with me, but especially those of you who are new, but everybody, I'm thinking that it would be really powerful to do a mini course on trust. And what I'm thinking about doing to introduce it is a lot of times people do these like 5-day challenges. So I was thinking of doing like a 5-day deep dive, not so much a challenge, but a 5-day free, open to my whole community deep dive on trust. And so I'm curious if that seems like a core issue to women who we really support in InStory. Like in my InStory year, we really support women who've lived rich, meaningful lives, who like us are deep and a little wacky and know they have something more to bring out in the world, but they're stuck in some way. They're not clear, they're not confident. And I think at the base of that is this sense that we don't trust ourselves. I'm curious if those of you who've worked with me and other people who follow me, if you were to look at trust, what does that bring up for you? Like, is there an area where you feel like you lack trust in yourself, in your higher guidance, in your intuition? Like, where do you feel that? And is it significant? Like, is building more trust in yourself? And for me, a lot of times it's also trust in my intuition, trusting my higher guidance, trusting God. I'm curious you're thinking about trust. Because I think what my experience of it was when I created it at first was you can't say to someone, well, just trust yourself, because that little word just, that doesn't help. Wait, I think I'm gonna have to sneeze 1 second. Excuse me. Don't want to sneeze all over my screen, even though it won't reach you guys actually. But have you ever felt held back by lack of trust? And in what area did you experience that lack of trust? Like, where do you need to develop more trust? Maybe that's the good way to ask it. Maybe I'll ask that in a bigger context. Where do you need to develop more trust? And how would that help you? Like, what would be different if you developed more trust? And in what area would you need to develop it? So I know for me lately, I've been working a lot on trusting kind of that higher intuitive guidance, that higher, it has a lot of names, but really sort of trusting God, and then trusting that way that I receive that kind of more intuitive way of knowing. So I'm curious, is it trusting other people, trusting God, trusting your intuition, trusting a sense of your own self, like just trusting yourself? So I'm curious, in what area do you feel lack of trust, and what would be different in your life if you developed more trust? So I would love to hear what your thinking is. I'm going to ask more questions about it, and I'd love to know if you think it would help you to do a deep dive into developing trust. So that's what I'm thinking about. What are you thinking about? What's calling you forward? What is where's your stretch? What are you leaning into? So I would love to know about that. Have an amazing weekend. As always, also remember to go out in the world, share your story, live your purpose, and be a blessing. Bye, everybody.